It's a big day in Washington as the Senate votes to confirm Amy Coney Barrett as a Supreme Court justice. Find out what local lawmakers have to say about the timing of the decision.
Plus, Prop 207 on the ballot. Would legalizing recreational marijuana in Arizona help or hurt the economy?
And later this half hour, a look at how our work-life balance has changed during the coronavirus pandemic.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Harry Croton.
And I'm Dylan McKim. Thank you for joining us. It's been just over 5 weeks since the death of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and President Donald Trump is expected to swear in her replacement tonight. Cronkite News reporter Tina Giuliano brings us the story of the whirlwind Republican effort to put Judge Amy Coney Barrett in Ginsburg's seat.
Tonight's vote caps a rare weekend session of the Senate that continued overnight and into today. But the timing of this vote and its outcome was never in doubt.
The Senate is doing the right thing. We're moving this nomination forward.
Not everyone agrees it's the right thing. Democrats denounced the rush to seat Barrett just days before the election.
Every Republican in this chamber, led by the majority leader, 4 years ago refused to even consider the Supreme Court nomination of a Democratic president. My colleagues, there is no escaping this glaring hypocrisy.
Arizona Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema announced Friday that after meeting Judge Barrett, she was concerned with her, quote, inconsistent views on legal precedent, unquote. But Arizona Senator Martha McSally, a Republican, announced early that she would vote for Barrett's confirmation, calling the conservative judge a, quote, gift to America, unquote.
What I'm looking for in a judge and in a justice is someone who is not going to make laws from the bench, not going to make policy or interpret it based on their own personal views or agenda.
Seated, Barrett could have a hand in Supreme Court rulings on Obamacare and on the outcome of any challenges to this fall's elections, and that's just in the coming weeks. Progressives fear she will reverse abortion rights rulings in coming years. But in Tucson, Liberty Watch radio host Charles Heller said Barrett has been sharp and honest throughout the hearings.
I think what she'll do is she'll rule on the law the way it was meant to be. I mean, this isn't a partisan, the Supreme Court is, at least in theory, not a partisan contest.
The White House is confident in its outcome, planning a swearing-in ceremony tonight that could put Barrett on the court immediately. In Washington, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
We still have 8 days to go until the election, but more than 58.6 million people have already voted. According to the U.S. Election Project, the total number of votes cast so far is around 43% of the total number of votes in 2016. Democrats are leading with the most early votes, but Republicans are slowly closing that gap. States such as Texas and Florida are piling millions of new votes on top of mail-in ballots in order to avoid crowds on November 3rd during the coronavirus crisis. Also, experts say 1 out of every 4 early voters is either new or infrequent, which is possibly a sign of a record-setting turnout.
With just a week to go before the presidential election, Cronkite News reporter Corinna Espinoza explains why Latinos may help decide who wins the race to the White House.
Alexis Rodriguez, a 20-year-old Latino, is excited to vote in his first presidential election.
In my household, there are 5 votes that are eligible to be casted in this election, and all early voting.
In his latest book, Michael Jones Correa, professor of political science at the University of Pennsylvania, explains why this election might see more Latinos voting.
All along through this period, you have very high levels of mobilization, and there's very high levels of immigrant mobilization, too.
Rodriguez says he has been active through community service and political engagement.
I was specifically looking forward to seeing the issue of immigration being mentioned.
Yulisa Olvera from the organization Aquí Se Vota understands the importance of civic engagement in addressing issues that concern Latinos by promoting Latinos to vote.
Only 2 Latinos out of 10 Latinos were voting. Latinos are not voting, so we have to do something about it.
According to the Pew Research Center, for the first time, Latinos are expected to be the nation's largest racial or ethnic minority group participating in a U.S. presidential election. In Arizona, 24% of eligible voters are Latino. Nationally, their data shows a record of 32 million Latinos projected to be eligible to vote.
Professor James McCann of Purdue University, co-author of the book Holding Fast with Professor Jones Correa, mentions Latinos' views on political parties.
Latinos sort of tend a bit more towards, the voting patterns you see within, American society at large.
According to the Pew Research Center, nationally, 62% of Latino registered voters identify with the Democratic Party, while 34% identify with the Republican Party. For Democrat Arizona Representative Raquel Terán, healthcare is one of the most important topics for Latinos.
At the end of the day, we will also have to work with them to make these issues a reality, that we move these issues into policy.
For Republican Kenneth Smith, economy is the key.
Hispanic employment has never been higher. Black employment has never been higher. The economy has never been better except for the COVID.
Whether Republican or Democrat, Olvera believes that issues that matter to the Latino community will not change if they don't make their voices heard.
You're responsible of your future. Your vote counts.
Rodriguez agrees.
To just show to the nation and the world, that we're here and we're going to make our voices heard.
Karina Espinosa, Cronkite News.
Legalizing the recreational use of marijuana is one of the big election issues on the ballot in Arizona this time. So Taylor Tassler-Oatley looked into what it could mean for our state's economy if the prop passes.
On Arizona's ballot this year, Proposition 207 will legalize the use of recreational marijuana. A similar proposition failed in 2016. If passed, Arizona would be the 13th state to legalize recreational marijuana use. Smoke Wallen is the CEO and chairman for Vertical Wellness. He supports Prop 207. He believes that if it passes, it will help the economy, especially after the pandemic, and points to Colorado as an example.
They've generated billions of dollars of revenue, tons of revenue for the state and for lots of local communities, and a lot of that has been earmarked for education and other programs.
Lisa James, chairwoman for Arizonans for Health and Public Safety, opposes the passing of Prop 207. She says it won't help. It will actually hurt the economy.
First of all, the expected revenue did not come in as they projected. Second, even in Colorado, there's a specific study that shows that they are spending $4.50 on marijuana-related expenses for every dollar of revenue that's coming in. That math just doesn't add up.
James adds that the legalization of recreational marijuana increases teen use because it becomes more accessible and socially acceptable. Wallen, however, says teens are already getting marijuana illegally and legalizing it won't make a difference. A study by JAMA Pediatrics agrees and found that in states where recreational marijuana was legalized, there was an 8% decrease in the likelihood of teens trying marijuana, along with a 9% decrease in the odds of frequent marijuana usage. Aside from legalizing recreational marijuana, Prop 207 would also allow individuals with convictions of marijuana possession, consumption, or transportation of 2.5 ounces or less to be expunged from their record. Raul Molina, co-founder and senior vice president of operations at the Mint Dispensary, says that this is a move in the right direction.
This is a baby step, and it's not even a baby step, it's a little bit better than a baby step, but it is a push in the right direction. I think that further decriminalization and a little more working on that side of the bill should be coming sometime soon.
Currently in Arizona, any marijuana charge is a felony, but the court can make the charge a misdemeanor if the judge determines the sentence would be too harsh. Taylor Tassler-Oatley, Cronkite News.
To find out where to vote this season, go to recorder.maricopa.gov/pollingplace.
This weekend, Trump supporters in the Valley came out in droves to show their support of the president. They held a car rally Saturday evening. The 30-mile stretch of cars could be seen on the 202 and Interstate 17. Supporters waved American flags, Trump flags, thin blue line flags, and signs, all backing the re-election of President Trump.
The president will return to the Valley at least one more time before the November 3rd election. Campaign officials say he'll be in Goodyear and Bullhead City on Wednesday for a Make America Great Again rally. Trump is set to speak at the Laughlin Bullhead International Airport at noon before heading to the Phoenix Goodyear Airport at 2:30 p.m. Doors open at 9 in Bullhead City and 11:30 in Goodyear. And the Biden campaign will also be making stops in Arizona this week. Democratic vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris will campaign for her running mate Joe Biden the same day as Trump. Harris is expected to make stops in Phoenix and Tucson Wednesday. That's it for Cronkite News Tonight.
Thank you for joining us.